In this video, we'll be going through Level 1 of the IRCHA Pilot Proficiency Program. We'll also reference the RC Hely-Nation program, which was based on IRCHA's, but has some updates that I think are worthwhile. With that, let's get started. Maneuver A is the takeoff. You are looking for a constant rate of climb, no deviations, and a stop without any bounce or drifting. The target height isn't specified, so for now use 7 foot or 2 meters, and we'll expand on that during the next maneuver. Next is the stationary hover. This is a 1-minute hover after takeoff. As we mentioned, the height isn't specified in the IRCHA program, and the RCHN program specifies 3 foot or 1 meter. However, I would suggest doing all hovering maneuvers at 2 meters, and there are a few reasons for that. One is safety. If a blade departs from the helicopter, it is more likely to go over your head than if you were hovering at eye level or below. Another is perspective. If you do all your practice with the model down low, while looking at the top of the blades or side of the model, you'll be at a disadvantage when flying around, and now you have to orient looking at the underside of the helicopter. For reference, F3C hovering maneuvers are based around a minimum of 2 meters, and the British Model Flying Association uses 10 foot or 3 meters for hovering in their helicopter certifications. If you try this on the sim, it's useful to have a scenery with a background, so you have something to use as a reference. Clouds can be useful when the ground isn't visible. Maneuver C is hover laterally in the shape of a cross or plus sign. This is a hover where the helicopter moves forward 10 foot or 3 meters, stops for 5 seconds, and then moves back 3 meters past center and stops for 5 seconds. It then moves forward to center again and completes the left and right hovers in the same way. Each point should be hovered at for 5 seconds, and the movement between points should be at a constant speed and height. What we're doing here is getting used to seeing the model from different angles and distances. D is a multi-level hover, which is another good one. Bring it up to 2 meters in the hover, then up another 2 meters, hold for 5 seconds, and then back down to hover position. Here we're learning to see it much more from below, so when we progress to forward flight, you'll be used to seeing and controlling it like this. The 3/4 or 45-degree tail-end hover now brings the model around even more than we've experienced before. So each exercise builds on what we've already learned and become familiar with. From the hover, we rotate 45 degrees one way and hover for 5 seconds. Then we rotate back and do the other side. At this point, you might feel a difference between nose left and nose right. Perhaps the model drifts a bit more, your reactions are slower, or you feel less comfortable. This is a good thing. You've identified a weakness, something that will hold you back later on, so you now know what to practice. And with very little practice at this stage, you'll feel your reactions getting faster and being able to control the model without it wandering around. Maneuver F is full lateral view hovering, where we do the same exercise as the 45-degree hovering, but now we go completely side on. This is a lot more difficult than people think, so much so it's almost outside the remit of the beginner. However, it is an essential skill, and this one in particular is relevant, as you do a lot of flying side on. so it's worth getting these absolutely solid. Diagonal hovering is another exercise, getting used to some more orientations and moving the model not just forwards or sideways. From the center, we move diagonally for 3 meters, hold for 5 seconds, and then bring it back to center, before completing all the other legs in the same way. You should try all of these maneuvers in a bit of wind when you get the chance. It really tests how much control you have and whether one side is less comfortable than the other. Here we're seeing even more of the model as it comes almost all the way back, and then also controlling it further away. The IRCHA program has 2 parts to circle hovering. The first is a tail-in circle where you take off and fly the model around yourself while keeping it tail in. Do not do this! First, you should never move while flying. There is a chance you could lose your footing or get dizzy and fall over and lose control of the model. Second, the model should never cross the flight line or fly between yourself and the pits or other people. Even on your own, do not do this. You don't know who's walked up behind you. And third, it serves no purpose. You won't learn anything from it other than it's an old school idea and should be removed. In fact, the RC Heli Nation program has correctly removed this. However, the constant heading circle is a good exercise. Take off, move forward 5 meters, and then complete a 10-meter diameter circle keeping the tail direction constant. In other words, pointing back behind you. Do these both ways, and that's the end of the Pilot Proficiency Program Level 1. In conclusion, these are some really good exercises to practice. They should be used to find weaknesses in your orientations. As soon as you feel uncomfortable or the model drifts, that means you've found something to practice. And it can be done easily at this stage, and will show dividends later on. The description below has links to the IRCHA and RCHN PDF files for download. RCHN have an additional summary sheet you can use to tick off the maneuvers. Until next time, good luck.